I think all we need is a little bit of evidence. I think for so many of my clients that are sitting in this sort of middle road, wondering if they're going to heal, wondering if they're ever going to get better, terrified, ruminating, just sitting around locked in fear, locked in crisis. And I think, God, all they need is a little piece of evidence. I mean, anything. Just give them one good inch forward. Just let them get a little bit of momentum and watch what it can do. Watch what that hope can inspire in them. And I know it sounds almost like new age or super positive, but it's not. It's not, because the lack of hope is a recipe for sliding the limbic system into crisis. Coming off benzos is a recipe for sliding the limbic system into crisis. Right? Combine those two things, you got a hell of a recipe for sliding the limbic system into crisis. And at that point, you're riddled by hyperarousal. You can't sleep. The meds don't seem to be working. Suddenly the benzo doesn't seem to be working. Sleep aids aren't working. And you just start falling down this Grand Canyon, essentially. You're falling into the cracks there. And of course, if you get into the wrong forums or around the wrong people, they'll tell you, hey, this is just how it goes. And they'll break that, what you'll consider to be an illusion of recovery. They'll pop that. They'll break it. And once you're lost, your limbic system goes into crisis. It simply slides into crisis. It would be like, floating out in the ocean at night, surrounded by sharks, miles away from shore, not a boat in sight. Not a lot of hope there, right? And the less hope you have, and the more danger, the quicker your limbic system is going to react, and the more intense it's going to react. I mean, all the way to the point of disassociating you from trauma, right? You start to have DPDR, and it's just wild what it can do to you. And this is why I say you need a little piece of evidence, right? Because if you were in that situation, you're floating, and maybe sometimes the sharks float away, and you got you got like a little life vest so you can come float. You're not going to be able to sleep. You're not going to be able to get out of that hypoarousal until there's some kind of sign that it's safe. So maybe it's a light. Maybe it's boats in the distance. It's a horn. It's something that you say, oh my God, there's a sign. There's something there, right? Or as I often call it, a North Star, right? A North Star is something you use to guide you. But we all need that. We all need just a little piece of evidence. And, I ask my clients all the time. For years, I've asked this question. And I say, what would you do if you somehow had a magic crystal ball and you could look into it and know the exact date of your recovery? Maybe it was a year from now. Maybe it was 2 years. Maybe it was 3 or 4 or 5 years from now. But you knew for certain, 100%, you were going to make a full recovery. What would you do? How would you feel? Let's say 1 year. Say you looked in the crystal ball and it said in 1 year you're going to be better. How would you feel? I mean, think about it yourself right now, right? And here's the answer I always receive. Oh my God, Coach, if I knew that, tomorrow would be a different day. I mean, it would be amazing. I'd wake up, half or more of my suffering would be over. Now, this is such an interesting insight that they would say this, but then at the same time would be completely oblivious to what's happening. And I would say, well, think about what you just said. Why would half of your suffering be over tomorrow? I don't know. Well, think about it. Dive deep into why. Oh, because half of my suffering is coming from the worry and fear of not healing. Ah, interesting. So it's not all taper. It's not all chemical. It's not all receptor, right? And so that's the first piece of evidence there I think people need, to go, wait a minute. What are you saying, Coach? I'm saying there's a lot more room to at least knock down a significant portion of your suffering and make things a lot easier for yourself. The reality is this, guys. All of you are going to heal. You are going to make a full recovery. You will get your life back. And depending on how well you walk through this fire and meet these challenges and make real lifestyle changes and all of this, you can very well come out of this better, even better than you were before. That's the reality, but you can't feel it, right? You can't feel it. You have no evidence for it. Well, you do. You know, I'm sure everyone here listening to this right now has seen people and heard of people that got better. The problem is the Benzo community operates almost like any other algorithm, right? It's like on Facebook. You ever notice that if you always look at pictures of puppies and this and that, that's what Facebook will start to feed you. Before you know it, if you didn't know that's how it worked, you would start to think, wow, Facebook is just nothing but puppies. No, because somebody else's algorithm looks completely different. So we get into these algorithms in the Benzo community, Reddit, Benzo buddies, wherever, and, you know, different coaches talking, videos. And it just paints this picture of like, look at all this suffering. Look at all these people that cannot be helped. Look at, you know, it really does, you know, you go to the, you know, Benzo Information Coalition. I mean, look at that list of what not to do, what not to eat, what not to drink, what not to take. I mean, it'd be easier, a smaller list, just to tell you what you can do, right? What can I eat and drink and do? So it's terrifying. I mean, that's the point here. It's terrifying, and it's limiting, and it paints an inaccurate picture of how things really are. And that makes you hopeless. It's like, God, where are the good stories? Where are the winners? And also our brains are, you know, designed by nature to focus on the negative anyway. It's part of a survival mechanism given to us. We look for the bad. We look for danger. Danger, you know, means, you know, understanding danger means potential survival. You know, we're not designed to gravitate toward the good. We're designed to look at the dangerous. So, I mean, how many times, I can't tell you how many times I've seen in my forums, like on Facebook, I run a Benzo forum, Life After Benzos, and, you know, someone will post something. Is there any success story? Did anybody ever experience good days, you know, 3 months out, within the first 3 months coming off a Benzo? And I'll watch 100 comments will come in there. And, you know, 98 of them will be, yeah, you know, everything from, you know, I saw lots of improvement in the first 3 months too. It was small, but yeah, there were some. And this person would just like it, no comment. And then suddenly the one or two people that said, no, it didn't. I'm 3 years out and I'm still suffering. Boom. That's the person that gets, you know, I'm going to DM you, and the 25 posts, comments, you know, conversation going on. And I'm like, look, you asked for a success story and you bypassed 98, 99 of them, and you totally latched on to the bad one. Why? Because that's what we're designed to do, especially in a crisis, right? But it's an algorithm of our brain, of Facebook, of the Benzo community. It's not a fair and accurate depiction of what's really going on out there. So here we are. We're looking for evidence, but we're blind to it. We can't see it. I'm not even sure we really want evidence of healing in all these things like we say we do. I'm really convinced that rumination, if you understand my view of this thing, I see rumination as probably the biggest, most covert withdrawal symptom. It's a cancer. It causes depression, anxiety, trauma, insomnia, a host of things. It slows down our healing. It can make a benzo stop working. It can keep us locked in trauma, in crisis. I mean, quite literally locked, and you guys will call it bind. I think bind's a giant umbrella for a lot of other things, right? But there you have it. So what do you need? You need a little evidence. You need a North Star. You need, a North Star is evidence. It's a direction. It says, if I follow this, I will walk out of these woods and I will free myself from these dangerous bears. So again, if you had a crystal ball, you could look in it and know your date. Maybe it's 2 years from now. Let's say it's 5 years from now. Still, many of you would say, God, I don't care. If it's 5 years, oh, that sucks. That's dreadful. But you know what? Tomorrow would still be a brighter day because I'd know. At least I'd know. It's the uncertainty, it's the unknowing. And we get locked in it. And unfortunately, there's no way for us to absolutely know. I wish there was. But we can get moving in the right direction, We can try to make a change in our perception. At the very least, break away from the things that pull us down and scare the hell out of us. And if you can do this, if you can get on the straight and narrow and try something different and really try to facilitate your own recovery and open your mind, because that's one of the biggest hurdles in the benzo community is dogmatic thinking, benzo dogma. I mean, they should have a benzo Bible at this point, and we're all, at the altar. But if you could open your mind a little bit, get on the straight and narrow, get even an ounce of momentum moving in the right direction, get an ounce of evidence, and it will start to snowball for you guys. I promise you. That 1 ounce will exponentially grow and grow and grow. And then what happens, it's like a snowball rolling downhill. At some point, it just catches on, and it gets big and fast, and it just, whoo, and before you know it, you're out of it. Hey everyone, I'm Coach Powers, and I'm excited to announce the launch of my new online Benzo Recovery School. The school launched with Module 1 and will have a total of 4 modules, each module with a dozen or more video lessons. Here are some contents in Module 1. This creates the basis for my recovery program. If you know anything about my approach to benzo recovery, you know I'm a bit different than other benzo coaches in that I do not subscribe to the lay and pray model of recovery. Instead, I believe benzo injury is a kind of neurological injury that requires neurological rehabilitation. This neurological rehabilitation encompasses learning how to access our good chemistry while also reducing the so-called bad chemistry, cortisol and adrenaline, and also learning how to lull down our hypervigilant limbic system. This includes learning techniques in CBT, DBT, mindfulness therapy, and neuroplasticity building. Now, I've studied clinical psychology for the last 15 years of my life, and my benzo recovery program encompasses the same things that I use to make my own recovery after a 10-year, 40 milligram Valium dependence. My recovery program observes 4 stages of recovery with 3 tiers of development. In fact, my stages are all focused on development. This makes them different than the 3 obvious stages of recovery, which include the pre-taper, the taper, and post-taper. Instead, my stages serve as a kind of developmental roadmap, with each stage serving as a bridge to the following stage. These 4 stages include Stage 1, restoring hope, Stage 2, the new beginning, Stage 3, the montage, and Stage 4, coming home. Perhaps most importantly, each stage has 3 key learning goals and also 3 key roadblocks. These stages revealed themselves to me after years of working with literally thousands of people from all around the world. After enough experience, you begin to see patterns and trends, and you see where people triumph and what roadblocks can prevent them from moving forward. Now remember, just because you may have come off your benzo doesn't mean you automatically reach Stage 4, the final stage. Again, these are developmental stages, which is why someone can come off of their benzo and still be stuck in their recovery. In fact, it's entirely possible to come off of your benzo and be stuck in Stage 1. Here are some other features the online Benzo Recovery School offers. Aside from being a school, it's also a positive focused support group. And believe me when I tell you, my students are a different breed of benzo warriors. They are wise, they are driven, and they understand the mission. I, Coach Powers, will also be doing live video Q&A weekly in the community, talking, teaching, and answering questions from all of you. There will be downloadable resources such as a rumination and exposure therapy log, templates for checklists, and much more. Additionally, there will be new benzo sleep affirmation videos exclusive for the school, as well as new and early original content. There will be a regular benzo blog, benzo-related news, and even a private early screening for my benzo recovery feature film, Lake of Fire. All of this and only for a special introductory rate of $30 monthly while time lasts. So come join the positive community and let's work together on facilitating our recovery. See you there.